All right. So my name is Dan Urelian from myLanguage, and what we do is we do AI-enabled translation that's offline, in real time, and also secure. And we use that technology to eliminate language barriers in critical situations. So today I'm excited to kind of share with you the challenges we're using this technology to overcome and kind of where we are in this journey with SVIP. So as many of us know, the Department of Homeland Security, other federal agencies, and first responders, and even just anywhere around the world, when you're interacting with someone who doesn't speak the same language as you, those communications can be very challenging. And even more so in critical situations. So that's what we wanted to help kind of overcome. And so the challenge that was posed to us by Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Coast Guard in 2021 was how to overcome these translation challenges in critical situations and make sure that we could try to improve the outcomes of missions. And that's because when you're out in open water or in kind of hazardous environments, human translators aren't always available, the internet isn't always available, and these solutions need to work. So this is where myLanguage comes in. myLanguage is a 15-year-old technology company that focuses on translations. Our consumer apps have been downloaded by over 7 million folks, and we've helped people translate over 200 million phrases. So when we were approached with these challenges, we were excited to bring our passion in the technology and kind of helping people communicate to kind of solve these challenges that U.S. Coast Guard and many other people are facing. And we've succeeded. So right now we're in phase 3 of SVIP. As Ron mentioned, ICE came on and joined the party in phase 2, and we've been able to deploy prototypes at the end of last year. And currently, we have gotten positive and also a lot of constructive feedback. We're in the process of creating prototypes for version 2 of the prototypes, and those will be going out in the next 60 days. So in addition to kind of meeting those challenges, we've also included real-time language identification that works offline. We've made sure that our solution operates private and securely. And so let me take a second to show you guys what our V1 prototype looks like, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's next.
Introducing myLanguage and the new era of multilingual government operations.
We intend to come aboard and inspect your vessel.
Мы намерены приехать на борт и инспектора вашего судна.
Без проблем. Добро пожаловать на борт.
No problem. Welcome to board.
And when you need help finding the right language, we also offer language detection.
你是来帮助我们的吗？
Are you here to help us?
Are you being forced to travel against your will?
你被迫违背自己的意志旅行吗？
他们强迫我旅行，我不想在这里，请帮助我。
They forced me to travel, and I don't want to be here. Please help me.
And for situations that may require translated communication over a longer distance, we make it possible for 2 or more devices to connect directly to each other at over 300 feet, with no internet or data connection needed.
We need to ask you a few questions.
Necesitamos hacerte algunas preguntas.
¿Qué quieres saber?
What do you want to know?
And to ensure those in the field are ready for everything, we have ruggedized device options for challenging environments. These cases are designed to be waterproof, buoyant, and highly visible. Now, with myLanguage's translation technology, you can be, in the words of the U.S. Coast Guard, Semper Paratus, always ready.
So that's kind of a sneak peek of where we were in V1. V2 is going to be even more amazing. This is made possible with the partnerships that we have with U.S. Coast Guard, ICE, and SVIP. And at the end of phase 3, which we're in right now, we'll have 22 offline languages with domain-specific customization in all those. So as I mentioned, right now we're laser focused on getting these U.S. Coast Guard and ICE prototypes right and making sure we meet the needs of those two organizations. But we're also looking forward to what's next. There's lots of use cases where people need to be communicating in critical situations. So we're thinking the discussions we've been having where we see these use cases show up is with TSA, CPB, first responder groups, even other U.S. federal agencies, and even we've had discussions with our EU allies who are having also border challenges over there. So we're very excited about the journey we're on and to bridge communication gaps in critical situations to positively impact millions worldwide. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go first this time. This is the hazard of going second, by the way, because I've thought of my other question that I was going to ask, but you get it. Your examples and earlier ones showed law enforcement nexus, right? A legal nexus. How do we know that the translation was accurate? What are you going through to do that?
Sure. So that's a great question for like the domain-specific phrases, and we have actually a few different ways we address that. So number one, when we engage with a new customer, we want to understand their use cases. So many times there's either phrase books or use cases they're following along. So that's our step one: is gather those. And even on our U.S. Coast Guard application and ICE applications, we have phrase books to step through kind of the different situations that they're in. So we'll take those and we'll make sure those are translated by professional translators and approved. We can then, when we train our models, make sure that those, if the same input comes in or we're using a phrase book, that those are translated perfectly going out. Second phase on that is that we can go out and we'll find handbooks for those particular industries where there's first responders, and then we'll also do the same thing. We'll take those in, make sure they're translated perfectly, and train our models and test our models. And the third part is that we actually have a feedback functionality that's built in. So during prototype or operational testing, a user can see, okay, this is inaccurate. They can flag it in real time, and then when they connect back to the internet, which is optional, this is an offline solution, but if during testing they can connect back, upload that feedback to our servers, we can review it, we get the voice and translation data, and then we can adjust our models, retrain our models, and deploy those next time they're updated. Does that answer your question, Ron?
Yeah, we just need to make sure that if the responders or Coast Guard immigrant is coming in, that we accurately represent it for legal purposes. Otherwise, it won't be allowed in court. And so, fortunately, you're over there, but I'm hoping that both sides take that serious as we go forward. So.
Yeah, thank you all.
I was just going to ask if this could be applied if you're speaking to groups with multiple language backgrounds. So frequently I'm interacting with a large group of people. Some may be English speaking, Spanish speaking, Creole speaking. Do I have to, is it possible to, kind of, I guess I haven't really formulated this question specifically, but if I'm speaking to all of them, do they all then need an individual device to be working with, or is it still just really designed for one-on-one communication, or can you apply it to a larger group setting?
So right now, the use case, so this is something we've been talking about but isn't built out yet. So right now, the communication is really a language 1 to language 2 communication. One thing that we have been playing with is that since it's real time and we also have language identification to kind of marry those, so there's more of like a conversation type mode where like no matter what someone's speaking, the first step will always be to like identify the language. But then you also have to have a language, so like no matter what somebody says in English or German or Korean, does it always output to English? And then when you're speaking back, how is it going back to those others? So there's some interesting use cases to explore further. But with language detection, we could kind of be dynamic in a conversation, but there's going to be like, well, what language are you speaking out from the device? Or are you hooking it up to earbuds where it could send directly translating into someone's ear? So it's definitely possible, just kind of getting more exact on the use cases.
Great. So it sounds like you started in the consumer market and are now moving into DHS. What steps are you guys taking to secure the data so that it's more applicable in a government use case? And also, who owns the data and where is it stored?
So right now, so there's different types of data that I'm gonna start off with the data that's actually happening on the devices that U.S. Coast Guard and ICE are using. So in those particular use cases, we're able to customize the privacy and security. So for example, with our prototypes with ICE, they wanted the conversation history to be completely deleted in 5 minutes. unless they wanted to upload it or something. So we were able to build in like, hey, if you, after 5 minutes, if you're on the device, history is wiped. If you close the application, history is wiped. So we can, and that's part of being like the offline piece where you can make it private and secure and really like make the solution customized. US Coast Guard was still determining with legal, like what's the, we want it private and secure, but also there's reporting requirements when they have different conversations with folks. We can really customize it to what we need, so it's more of a requirements gathering. On the consumer side, we store that information in a database and it's secured and encrypted and the server is secure, but the applications are separate right now. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? We good? Is that it?
Thanks, Dan.